The Fringefolk Hero's Grave is a secret dungeon in Elden Ring located right outside of the game's starting tutorial. And in true FromSoft fashion, this is literally one of the deadliest dungeons in the entire game, filled with insane traps, long and confusing hallways, drops into nowhere, powerful enemies, deadly bosses, and some kind of disgusting tree dragon snake that's really hard to defeat. There's so much to explore and uncover in this dungeon that we had to make a full guide for this entire thing, including all traps and enemies, all the loot, and how to defeat the insane final boss. You're watching RPG Dojo, and this is our guide to the Fringefolk Hero's Grave. So this dungeon is completely optional. Like we said, it's at the very start of the game, right after you finish the tutorial. And next to the Site of Grace, you'll see this fog wall that requires 2 stone sword keys in order to unlock. And yes, I did say 2 keys, so you won't be able to unlock this area right away, even if you picked the stone sword key as your keepsake to begin the game. But that's okay, this is definitely not a beginner area. I would recommend being at least level 30 to 50 before you try this. Anything before that, most of the normal enemies in this dungeon will one-shot you, though you could probably run through and pick up a couple of good drops along the way, so it might be worth it. Now, if you need stone sword keys in order to access this dungeon, the easiest place I've found to be able to get these is in the Weeping Peninsula area of Limgrave. There's actually a merchant here at the shack along the western side of the shore that will actually sell you 3 stone sword keys for 2,000 runes each. Now, obviously, you get these throughout the game, but this is just a quick and easy way to get these if you need 2 keys to enter this dungeon. All right, so once you're through, go ahead and jump down and start sprinting down the hallway. Don't roll, because the poison here will just make it worse. If you sprint quick enough, you should get out of the poison area before it gives you the status effect. And here you see the big boy. This is going to give you a lot of trouble early on. This chariot is not really an enemy. It's more like a moving trap. So you're going to need to avoid the wheels. Running down the ramp here, you can just jump into one of the alcoves on the side to avoid the chariot wheels. And it does go back and forth through the hallway, kind of spaced out. It'll give you time in between, you can see, to run past it and then get into the next alcove. Here, just to save time, I like to jump down. This is the second area of the ramp. It's just a ramp that's moving downward, kind of in a spiral. Don't worry about anything spawning behind you or following you down, because it will get killed by the chariot anyways. And then we're going to jump down off this ledge on the left side. You'll have 2 imps sort of hiding in the shadows of this hallway that you'll need to deal with. So make sure you watch out for those. There's one, and here's the second one. I have my shield, which is definitely recommended. You can block and guard counter these guys pretty easily. If not, they do have very quick attacks, so they can pretty much rip you to shreds pretty fast. A light would definitely be a good thing, like a torch or the lantern, just to make things a little bit brighter for this part. But moving down the hallway, we have another trap here, and this one is very deadly. This is one of the fire traps that you may have seen in other dungeons. I think it's Stormfront Caverns. It has something very similar. Best way I've found to deal with this is have a bow and just hit it from a distance with an arrow. And if you hit it sort of in the center of the column, the trap will actually move down into the floor, and you won't have any more fire to worry about. So it's much easier. Keep an eye out. There is another imp here on the right side. Make sure you deal with him first instead of sprinting past. Otherwise, he might get you from behind. So over on the left here, make a slight left turn. We'll have a couple of imps in here. Be careful, but there is an item that you might want. So wait a second. This imp will jump down from the ceiling. Go ahead and deal with him. And then the one in the back. This one had like a huge weapon that I had to block. And he kept dodging my guard counters, which is a little bit annoying, but be patient. That way you won't take too much damage. So in the back of this room is a lightning grease, and I didn't actually get a chance to use this during my time in the dungeon. My guess is this might actually be useful against the final boss, who is sort of a dragon-type enemy. I believe they might be weak to lightning. So if you found that, let me know in the comments. I'm curious if you got to use it or not. Coming up to the next section, there's sort of this open church with the area you can jump down underneath. But don't miss this area. There are some powerful enemies on the ceiling who can jump down and kill you pretty quickly. But there is a really good talisman here at the end. So my trick is just to run in, grab it, and then leave. Or if you die, you can just start again. I didn't actually defeat these long-armed spider guys. I don't think they drop anything from other videos that I've seen, but if they do, let me know in the comment section. Like I said, probably easier just to try to run or roll away from them and continue on. Or if you die, just go back. It's not a huge deal. At least you got the talisman, which is a really good item. I can show you here. This is the Erdtree's Favor talisman. It raises your maximum HP, stamina, and equip load with no negative effects. So this is a really good starting talisman. So assuming you got that talisman by sprinting in and grabbing it and either defeating those enemies or running away or dying, whatever happened, you want to come back to the church, and we're going to go down a few levels deeper just by dropping off this edge. You can see there's a ledge below, nothing here, so we're going to want to drop down one more level and go ahead and move down this hallway and up the stairs. And what we're doing is we're getting to an area where we can disable that chariot trap, the moving chariot. So basically what we had to do is go all the way down to the bottom of this dungeon, and then we're going to take this elevator up to the top, where, like I said, we can disable the chariot with a bomb near the top. Now there is one other enemy up here, sort of like a mini boss, though it does respawn if you come back later. Same sort of ghost enemy that we faced before, but much more challenging, sort of a knight with a whirlwind blade attack, and he also has dragon incantations if you get too far away, so definitely watch out for that. He is a bit slow though, so running in with those jumping R2s is going to be super effective. Also, if you have a shield, guard countering can be effective as well. Once you defeat that mini-boss, go ahead and approach the ledge where you can see the chariot trap. From there, if you look up, you'll actually see 3 bombs attached to the ceiling, which you can drop down on the chariot to destroy it. Since these bombs are very far away, the best way to drop them is going to be using a bow to actually cut the rope holding up the bomb on the ceiling and let it drop down. Now, not only do you need to cut the rope with your arrow, you also need to time the bomb to drop perfectly on the chariot, which you can see I missed the first time, and you only have 3 bombs total to make this work. This will take some practice, and you need to take your time. What I did was I just watched the chariot run back and forth and tried to figure out the timing. Chariot also rumbles when it's very close to you on your ledge, and I found that sound helped me to sort of time out in my head how many seconds I had until it would be under the bomb's position. So let us know in the comments section what technique worked best for you. I honestly think I just got lucky. I got it on the second bomb, so that was great. You will be rewarded with an amazing bow. This is called the Erdtree Great Bow, and it actually best scales with faith. So if you're a faith build, definitely something you'll want to look into. Now at this point, we're almost done. We just have one more major item to pick up, and of course the final boss. This should be much easier now though. Once the chariot has been destroyed, you're going to simply run down the ramp as far as you can go. You may see some additional spirit enemies. You can defeat them if you prefer, or you can just run past. Here we're crossing the bridge, passing the area where we dropped down before, and continuing down the left. And here we'll see the tunnel branches in 2 directions. The left side down is the main boss. Right side up is another mini boss and that item that we'll be looking for. You'll face off against 3 or 4 spirits here in the middle of the tunnel. 1 melee, a couple of archers. Now I would recommend dealing with the melee first as quickly as possible, and then using your shield or rolling away to avoid those bolts. From there, you can systematically take on those ranged enemies. Use the wall or the alcove for cover if you need to, and then make sure they're all defeated. Once you defeat them, make sure you heal up and then move forward, because we will have another mini-boss at the end of this hallway. This boss is very similar to the one that we faced before we took out the chariot. Again, jumping, charged attacks are going to be your best friend. Guard counters are useful as well. But from this boss, you can pick up the Dragon Communion Seal. This is going to let you cast incantations. If you have enough faith and arcane, this also boosts those Dragon Communion incantations, which could be pretty powerful if you have a build that's focused on those dragon spells. One more thing to do, and that is defeat the dungeon's final boss. So we're going to go back to the descending hallway and keep walking down the ramp. You will come across about 4 to 5 more enemies here, but you can just keep running all the way to the mist wall. There is a stake of Marika here, so it is very easy to come back if you do happen to die, which you probably will on your first entrance into this area because, I mean, just look at this. That's death right there. So this will take some time. I was level 50 when I defeated this boss, and it took me probably about an hour. I will say, using a spirit summon like the jellyfish early on is going to be extremely helpful for letting you learn this dragon's mechanics. Once you learn the timing of its big forward lunges and its swooping jaw attack, they're fairly easy to roll away from, making use of those iframes. As far as your own damage, jumping R2 attacks are definitely the way to go. If you can get about 4 of these off on the dragon in a quick succession, you can break its stance to get in some big critical damage. Do watch out for the second phase of this boss where he does gain some additional fire AoE effects. This is that yellow flame that you see coming from his body, and he will end up erupting that from the ground as well. So you'll need to keep your distance during some parts of the fight. But other than that, experiment with different damage types. Like I said, there is a lightning grease within this dungeon that may be effective against him. You could also try fire grease. If you do defeat him, let us know in the comment section what works best for you. But if you do defeat him, you will be rewarded with a golden seed and a new summoned, the Banished Knight Oleg. This summon is extremely powerful, but it does take a lot of FP, 100 FP actually, to cast this summon, so I wasn't even able to use it on this particular character. But to me, completing this dungeon is definitely worth it. It's one of the best experiences I've had so far in Elden Ring. That's why I wanted to share it with all of you. And hopefully you found this guide helpful. If you did, do us a favor, crush that like button. It absolutely helps the channel. It helps YouTube share out this video with other viewers just like yourself. If you'd like to see more Elden Ring content, guides, builds, tips and tricks, more of those videos are on the way, so make sure you're subscribed right here to the channel. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you around in the next video.